What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for Your Overwatch. Today, we're going to be breaking down in an advanced guide one of the most controversial heroes to ever be in Overwatch, Sombra. When she was first released, a lot of the community thought she was overpowered immediately. We were never really impressed and still haven't been up until very recently when Bastion got a buff, and she's gotten many buffs over and over again, and coming up soon, she's going to get even more buffs to her ability to make less noise when going invisible and a smaller cooldown on her Translocator, helping her get around even better. But most of this footage is taken against the OP Bastion meta, as I was doing placement matches on my main and alt accounts, playing Sombra and trying to get a feel for her and what she can do and exploiting the best aspects of her kit. One of the biggest impacts you can have in the game as Sombra is well-timed EMPs. As we made it into the choke point of this fight, the enemy team was getting way too overzealous, peeking into us at the car, and I was able to hit most of them with EMPs, so that means they couldn't get their ultimates off. But the thing with EMP that's incredibly important to note is that it needs follow-up, just like a Graviton Surge might. Now, a Graviton Surge gets everybody all together. You pop it, a bunch of them are clumped, you can deal a bunch of burst damage into it, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And EMP is even harder to follow up because obviously there's no crowd control on them. Everybody can get around wherever they need to be. So with that being the case, you want to make sure that you get in on as many of them as you can, namely the most key targets. We'll discuss that a little bit more as the video goes on, but you need your teammates around to be able to follow up. So that first fight, everyone was really close by, and I hit EMP on most of them, and we were able to clean up that fight. Now the second fight, we brawl our way into streets, and I'm able to find the Pharah early in the fight as Sombra, which she really shouldn't be considered a Pharah counter, but what she is a single target assassin. Now, the devs don't like using the term assassin for Sombra because her damage is so weak, but she assassinates through her ability to get positioning, taking out key targets. Whether that's through her hack, eliminates their ability to set up what they want, or ult the way they need to. Right here on this second point, Lucio is about to turn the corner with Drop the Beat in his pocket. Now, that beat can set up for an entire retake to happen because there's so much damage resistance that the Lucio sound barrier gives you that you can just basically run at the enemy team and almost guarantee a kill or two if there's anybody close. But since I'm able to hack the Lucio as he's trying to come back to the point, he doesn't get his beat off, there's no retake to be had, we win the fight anyway. Now, I think this EMP that I do on the Graviton Surge afterwards is a bit more questionable. I don't even know if I needed to use it necessarily, but it definitely looks cool when you follow up on a Grav Surge and delete the sound barrier entirely so that your team can kill them all. But now I don't have my EMP for this last fight, but it's okay. It charges pretty quickly, and the way you charge it, obviously, is by hacking health packs and farming the health advantage that you get from you and your teammates healing from them. So it's going to be important that you do that and advise your teammates to use health packs whenever possible. But it doesn't even matter. Don't even need the EMP for this last fight in particular, and we steamroll into the enemy team and win. Now this next example on Dorado, we're going to be breaking down some more specific key target selection hacks. First hack we get here is on the Zarya. Now, we always want to keep in mind when we hack something, do they have ultimate? Do we think they're close to ultimate? Because that's going to be very important, because the effect of being able to see their ultimate status lasts beyond their actual hack, which I don't know if it's intentional or a glitch or what, but I was able to see that the Zarya got her Graviton Surge back above her head while she put her bubble back on. So that means the effects of hack were gone, but my ability to see that she has her ultimate lasts beyond that hack. So that means now I know she has Grav, and I'm going to try to play around that. My team's pretty far up in this point, and hacking the Ana there allows me to know that she has ultimate as well. So, two ultimates that we're trying to fight around as Sombra. So, with that knowledge, and us taking this checkpoint here, I'm going to attempt to get to the high ground. Soldier comes to contest me on the stairwell. Don't really want to have any business of that because he is a stronger duelist than me, but my teammates come around to be able to help me out. I hack this health pack here on the right. That's going to be my home base to be able to run back to if I need health. But what I'm looking for here is a key target or a key EMP. Now, some trades go our way, so that means that the enemy team is likely going to regroup, but it's very key that I hack this Zarya so she can't pop EMP. I wait for a while for the hack to expire, and then I EMP the whole team again, meaning that she's only able to pop her Graviton after all of our frags are made. So the Zarya there was left with an impossible decision to make. Does she die with Graviton in her pocket, having to retake here and maybe clutch it out at the last seconds when we're going to be in a stall fight, or does she rush it out there and waste it? Either way, she didn't really have a great option to her. Now as well, keeping a Sombra alive at these last points, able to close things out, is great because shifty characters are the name of the game when you're talking about stall. I can hack through the Genji Reflect, I can hack Mei, I can hack Tracer, I hack all sorts of things that want to be popping abilities that keep themselves alive to be able to close out the fight cleanly, not to mention that Sombra has the ability to see weakened targets through the map, so focus firing is a little bit easier with Sombra because she can help call out to her team what enemies are lit. Don't even die on that point. And though the trickle does come through, they're not really able to get anything going. And even if they did, some of my hacks would likely tell us if they had any ults coming. Now, here on Gibraltar, the team's having a bit of a struggle to push onto this point, but I charged up my EMP and able to get into the entire enemy team and pop EMP to initiate. Now, keep in mind, made sure that my team was close enough to be able to follow up on the EMP's effects. Once we do pop it, we can know who needs to be focused down based upon what ultimates they have. Because enemy ultimates might be able to clutch out the fight if we're not careful. EMP only lasts for so long, but the knowledge of which characters have an ultimate means that you need to focus those targets first, or at the very least, the ones that have the most scary ultimates, like Zarya's Graviton and what have you, Lucio Sound Barrier, things like that, so they don't go and swing back the fight once the EMP's done. And now I'm attempting to do some harassment play on the left, but very important that I don't die here. You want to look out for Roadhog hooks, McCree flashbangs, things like that, and avoid them completely. Be sure to play more flank than commit with Sombra. You want to take what the enemy gives you, and if they start to focus you, you need to get the heck out of there because you're not a duelist. And it's very important to know if the enemy team uses any cooldowns to try to whiff at you, like if Roadhog uses his 8-second hook to miss at you, that's a bit of a win in its own right. You definitely want to get more value with that positioning than simply baiting out abilities, but at the very least, not dying and baiting them out can help your team in the overall scheme of the game. Now, here at the last point, I have a bit more of a questionable EMP. I see the Mei and I figure that she must have her ult over here to the side, so I pop my EMP and hit a few of them. And it does give us some progress on the cart, but we don't kill things fast enough, so we actually back up, reestablish the fight again, and go back in with more ults. And since we're able to kind of stagger their deaths and not take any losses on our side, we're able to have a pretty convincing last stage here and keep most of our team alive. Now remember, pushing on attack oftentimes has to do with sustain, because as long as you have man advantage and the fight creeps out but you don't die, you're pretty likely to get a kill and keep that man advantage over time as long as one of your guys don't die. But if one of your teammates do die, the enemy team has respawn advantage and should be able to pounce you. So as Sombra in these situations, stay shifty and make sure that you're valuing hack over damage, because hacking a target like Mercy stops her from being able to res, but also stops her Guardian Angel ability, meaning that she's stuck in place and going to be very easy to follow up on. Playing Sombra has a multifaceted game sense approach to it. You need to not only know the ultimate fight, but also target prioritization, because in these hectic fights, since your damage is so mediocre, if you're shooting the wrong thing, you can be almost doing nothing. Now, it's more important for you to stay alive than be a big damage dealer, but at the same time, you want to be trying to deal the most amount of damage that you can. Here on King's Row, I'm able to hack the Bastion and force their Death Ball into the corner, giving us status of their ultimates, as well as forcing them to back off. Now, we get the card around the corner, but we aren't able to follow up, and that kind of shows you how EMP is difficult to follow up, especially since we're running a Ana Mercy combo here. So it makes Lucio's speed boost so good, because then we can move our entire team to go clean up after them as they run away. But if you're not playing with Lucio, you're going to want to make sure that the fight is committed and your teammates are in range to be able to deal damage so the enemy doesn't just run away and make your EMP a waste. Setting up on this outside now, we're going to have to try to attack this once again. My job, again, is to hack the Bastion here, to get him to be disrupted and not be able to shoot down the alleyway at my team. But I don't get the hack off, but this just shows you that the presence of being behind an enemy is almost good enough, because the Bastion is forced to look behind himself to try to protect him, and if he's doing that, he's not shooting down at my team, so a victory in its own right. He repositions, I take this high ground above the point, and now it's off to the races. I have the high ground as a hit scan, have my feast, the pick of the litter below me, and I'm able to shoot down at whoever I want. Taking high ground as Sombra is incredibly important and something that you should do frequently. Her damage at range isn't great, but as long as you can get at medium range and shoot down at your opponents, you can be a headache for them to try to get you out of. Because remember, only so many things can even shoot up at you very effectively, and you always have the opportunity to translocate out of a bad situation, as well as see any threats coming if you're already on the high ground. Yes, Sombra's damage isn't that significant, but being able to get damage where you need in Overwatch is half the battle. Now here, on last, we're sizing up to do the EMP, and I'm sure to tell my team when I'm about to do it so that they're ready to follow up. Pop the EMP, our Ana gets a clutch anti-nade into most of them, and a bunch of trades and frags happen back and forth, and I'm sure to try to find the lit targets in order to finish them off. Keep in mind, Sombra's gun is not good at damaging through healing at all. For all intents and purposes, you should consider it a support weapon to help focus fire things that are either already injured or that you're 2v1ing. It's pretty difficult to solo anything as Sombra, so don't overextend into fights like you might as a Genji, who has the ability to duel things more directly and burst things down more quickly. Unfortunately, the enemy team is able to clutch out more respawns there than we're able to muster, so I jump off the map in order to reset and get back with my team, but throughout that fight, because I stayed alive so long, dealing a lot of damage, I was able to charge up EMP once again. So, back to the drawing board, ladies and gentlemen. And this time, they decide to try to have a flanking Pharah, but because I have the high ground, she's a pretty easy hitbox to hit. Clear her out, jump on in on the rest of the team, and EMP everybody. Rhine Shield down allows for Earth Shatter to hit the entire team, and the only thing I might change about my play here is my focus fire. I don't know if it's best to try to focus fire a tank. As Sombra, I probably want to find one of the squishies on the floor instead and peg some headshots into them to kill something faster. But either way, try to just shoot whatever your teammates are shooting at. And if something has a lot of HP in front of you that you're shooting, but you notice that something turns gold, meaning that it's at half HP, switch your targeting to them in order to finish that target. Because completing a frag is always way more important than simply doing more damage. You can't just be doing damage, you have to be doing it in the right place. Now, we spoke this entire time about Sombra's ultimate, using high ground. The last point that I want to say is using her weapon. Because it has a quite sporadic spray, so it is functionally impossible to aim perfectly, and it feels kind of similar to Orissa's gun, although Sombra's weapon is a hit scan, not a projectile. So because of that, if your target's at a decent amount of range, you're going to have to aim for the bigger hitbox instead of going for pure headshots. Because if you don't, you're going to be whiffing over them way too much and probably not hitting as many shots as you need to. But if you get really close, you can peg them in the head. But generally speaking, I suggest aiming for the center of mass and slightly edge up so that your spread might knock into the head hitbox a bit. But generally speaking, it's best to try to make sure that your Sombra aim is as reliable as possible. That's it, guys. Our first crash course advanced guide into Sombra. What did you think? Are you ready to go hack the world? If you are, please hit the like button. It really does help us out, and especially if you enjoyed the content, it lets us know that you did. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can see when our videos go live, because we upload each and every day. Notification Squad, linked in the description. You can check out our Twitch page, our Twitter, and our Discord server, where you can interact with our community and find teammates to pair up with. You could find the Sombra main of your dreams. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.